A very, very quick question. And when I'm talking about what I'm going to talk about today, I think we've got to be very, very aware that we're not just talking about hypothetical situations here. We're not just talking about politics. We're talking about real life situations. I think what we've always got to do when we're talking about this subject is remember that 3 beautiful little girls were taken away from their parents. I believe 10 others, adults and children, were wounded by this monster, and our thoughts must be always with sensitivity to the families and of the bereaved, to the families of the children who died, and to the families of the children who were very, very seriously injured. And again, I'm not going to go into detail, but we all probably know the detail. This attack was so brutal, so vile, and the way the children were hurt and the way the children were murdered was so disgusting that it hardly bears talking about. But we've got to understand the nature of the attack. The attack was completely and utterly savage. I think we've got to always bear that in mind when we talk about this, and not try to score political points on the back of an absolute massacre and something just so disgusting that it's hard for us to comprehend. But I think we've got to be very, very serious about this, and we've got to ask these questions. First of all, have Keir Starmer, I think it was a Merseyside police, I could be wrong, Yvette Cooper, and other people in government, civil service, the security service and the police, have they been involved in a conspiracy? Have they perverted the course of justice? Have they misled or lied to Parliament? Have they been guilty themselves of spreading misinformation? Those questions are very, very serious questions that need to be asked. And I think no matter what the platitudes the government come out with, and Keir Starmer's lost all credibility already. And those of us who were looking at this at the time, we all knew what was going on. We didn't have the evidence, and if we'd have spoken about it like we can speak about it now, we'd have probably been arrested and jailed. That's what was happening. People have been arrested and jailed for spreading information about this. And the other thing, and again, obviously I'm very aware of the social media channels that this will be posted on, so I'm very aware of not using the words that will just get it banned. But what about the ideology, the extremist ideology behind this crime? What do we know about that? What other literature, apart from the Al-Qaeda manual, was in that boy's house? It wasn't a boy, was it? He was a teenager. He was old enough to go and carry out a heinous, disgusting attack. So what was that lad reading? What was he into? What was the driver behind this? I think we all probably know. But because of the way the state is censoring this sort of stuff and hushing this sort of stuff, and this isn't the first time it happened. Hartlepool, it was a long time before that was put down as a terrorist attack. I don't even know if it has even been put down as a terrorist attack, where a man that was annoyed about what was happening in Gaza went out and murdered an innocent pensioner who'd spent probably all his life working in the northeast of England. Reading, where 3 gay friends just hanging out in a park, I think it was a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, were killed by a jihadi. And there's loads of others. There's scores of other incidents where it's been put down to mental health. So the problem is the credibility and the integrity of the security services, the police and everything else is massively called into question. They have been infiltrated by far leftists. They are working to a different agenda to what they should be. But Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper, the buck stops with you. And if you have perverted the course of justice, and if you have misled Parliament, if you have misled the British public, and you have been involved in a deliberate obscuring of the facts in this case, you must be called to account. And the irony would be that the man who took such great pleasure in apparently putting pressure on the judicial system to arrest, fast track through courts, get them videoed, and put men in a situation where their lives are in danger, where their mental health is in danger, where their physical safety is in danger, for nothing other than telling the truth or challenging authority that was protecting those who were lying. Let's get it right. That's what this was about. Wouldn't it be ironic if that same man that did all that found himself arrested, put on trial and incarcerated for perverting the course of justice, for misleading Parliament? If that's happened, and we don't know. This is the problem. We don't know because MPs aren't even allowed to debate it at the minute. But I think as time goes on, the truth will come out. And we all need to keep digging. We all need to keep watching. We all need to keep understanding that the sickness that is infecting our country from these corrupt politicians is now costing people lives. Cost those 3 beautiful girls their lives. Cost Peter Lynch his life. Put Tommy in prison for telling the truth. And these vile groups like Stand Up to Racism, Hope Not Hate, individuals like Nick Lowles and his little gang, they need to be called to account as well. There needs to be a day of reckoning, and I'm not talking about any retribution in a vigilante sense. There needs to be a day of reckoning legally. These people need to be investigated. They need to be screened the same way that they try and scrutinise people on the right. These far left lunatics, including the politicians, from Keir Starmer downwards, they need to be scrutinised in every area of their lives. And, you know, that's what the investigative journalists from the Times, the Telegraph, the Daily Mail should be doing, instead of always attacking people on the right, you know, because we know that the whole profession of journalism has been hijacked by a leftist agenda. But the question today is, has Keir Starmer, has Yvette Cooper, has the Chief Constable of Merseyside Police, has anybody else involved in this case been involved in a conspiracy? That's the question. I'm not saying they have. And that's what the journalists, the investigative journalists should be on. GB News, are you going to step up to the plate on this one? Get, who is it, Charlie Peters or whoever it is that does your investigation? These things need to be looked into and we need to find out. And if they have perverted the course of justice, 2 things must happen. They must be put before the courts, they must be tried, and if they're guilty, they must go to prison. And this fake regime that calls itself a government, this totalitarian, tyrannical communist regime must fall. And we need new elections and we need to get rid of these people. And so that means we need to get our act together on the right. We need to start finding out who we're actually going to vote for. Because the problem is, it's very difficult to trust any of them. And you all know where I stand on that. Anyway, guys, that's just a little rant. I'm trying to stay calm and I'm trying to not get too agitated. I'm making sure that I put all the necessary caveats into videos now because we know what they're like. They'll come after us. We can say what we mean in very, very simple terms without getting ourselves arrested or banned from these platforms. And the reality is we're better on these platforms than off them. I used to say a lot more. I used to be a lot more vocal. But the problem is, in this day and age, if I say use terms that trigger the system or the machine, then I won't have a channel anymore. So we've all got to be careful. But that's a question this morning. Has Keir Starmer or Yvette Cooper perverted the course of justice? Is there a conspiracy? And what happens next? See you all soon.